How much would confidence help your golf game? Hey everyone, my name is Michael Leonard, creator of Wicked Smart Golf and a golf writer for the past 5 years. Welcome to my weekly book reviews where I take the best and most popular golf books and give you 3 to 7 points to help your golf game. Now, Wicked Smart is all about playing better golf without changing your swing. One of the ways to do that is learning how to build confidence. And today's book, Golf is a Game of Confidence by the OG, Dr. Bob Rotella, will help you do exactly that. Now, I'd say the biggest thing that I got from this book is that confidence comes from 3 things. Number 1, staying present every shot during the round. Number 2, committing to the process and trusting the process for improvement. And 3, developing a world-class short game. If you've read any of Dr. Bob Rotella's books, chances are you know how much he talks about the importance of a great short game. Now, if you're like most golfers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's so easy, even for good ball strikers, to go out there and just have an off day. It's gonna happen, whether you're pulling it, slicing it, just hitting it thin, whatever your ball striking's doing that day, it's not gonna be on 24/7. And that's why you need to develop a world-class short game. While there's a lot more videos on the channel about that, let's focus on the 5 biggest lessons from Golf is a Game of Confidence. This lesson from Dr. Bob here is to play the swing that you have that day. Now, this is so key and something that I see a lot of people try and fight on the driving range. Now, basically, let's say, for example, you play a cut. Every day, for the most part, you're a cut. If you miss it, it's a slice. That's just the type of player you are. Then all of a sudden, you show up one day on the range before the round and you start hitting a draw. All of a sudden, you get to the first tee and you think, what the hell do I do? Now, this is a really good question, and actually something we just saw at the 2022 US Open where Colin Morikawa, one of the best ball strikers on tour, had a similar issue. Even though he considers himself a cut player, he hits just almost every green in regulation from any distance. The guy is just a machine with his irons. He always plays a cut. All of a sudden, a few weeks leading up to the event, he couldn't fix it. He was just hitting a draw. His swing coach even said in an interview, "We don't know what's going on." Talk about having to worry about your swing on one of the biggest stages. Now, he didn't win, but of course he did play pretty well the first few days and kind of fell off over the weekend. But what did he do? Did he play a cut or did he play a draw? He played the swing that was there that day, which happened to be a draw. No 2 days of golf are the same, so swing the swing that you have that day. Part 2 of this point is what Dr. Bob talks about in the book, is to not try and work on your swing the week or days leading up to an event. So in Colin's case, he was struggling. He was hitting a cut and not his patented draw. But you know what? He was not over there grinding, trying to figure it out. He just accepted it and started playing it. Now, I play in a lot of amateur events myself, and the days leading up before events, I never try and change anything big in my swing. I focus on simple things like alignment and tempo and just making sure my setup is in a great position. Because when you're out there and you're trying to change a lot of things before an event, it's way too easy to get in your head. And then when you're on the course, you're thinking about your golf swing and not focus on playing golf. Number 2 from Dr. Bob here is all about minimizing swing thoughts on the golf course. This is one of the most important lessons you can learn if you want to become a wicked smart golfer and really just get the most out of your game. So many struggling players are out there on the course focusing all the time on mechanics. You'll hear them say, "Oh, I didn't get my wrist down. I took it too far inside. I was too steep." Anytime you start thinking about mechanics on the golf course, you are setting yourself up for failure. Save that stuff for the driving range. Save that for your at-home practice routine. When you're on the golf course, focus on one thing: playing golf. Do not go out there and try and play your golf swing. Dr. Bob says if you do need a swing thought, make sure you only have one, preferably none. A lot of times if you can have none and you're just carefree, you're going to play some of your best golf. But I know a lot of people need some sort of anchor swing thought, and that's totally fine. If you do need one, make sure you only have one that is non-mechanical. You do not want one where you're thinking about your wrist position or your takeaway or what you're doing on transition or the downswing. That's really, really hard to do time and time again. Instead, I like to think about really simple things like I'm going to have really smooth tempo, or I'm going to nail my setup position. Simple things like that, so that way I don't have to actually try and think about them while I'm swinging the golf club. Third tip from Dr. Bob is all about your memory on the golf course. This is a great concept that I wish more people talked about. So specifically, let's think about it. You have good memories and you have bad memories on the golf course. But how come you always remember those bad ones so much more than those negative ones? Is it you? Are you just pessimistic? Do you not believe in yourself? Do you just love the self-torture of remembering all those bad shots? No, it's not your fault. I feel like I'm in Good Will Hunting. It's not your fault. Seriously though, it is not your fault. It's the way this thing is programmed. Never forget that the mind is a survival mechanism above all else. As Tony Robbins said when I went and walked on fire at one of his conferences, this thing is prehistoric and it is not meant to make you happy. That is something you have to do. Now, what does this have to do with golf? Look, we are programmed to remember the bad shots because this thing is trying to keep us alive. And back in prehistoric days, that meant remembering where threats were, and you remember negative things. For example, if you're a caveman and you walk into a cave and there's a bunch of saber-toothed tigers in there, you're going to realize, whoa, I better not walk in that cave again. The only problem is that we don't have those saber-toothed tigers coming to get us anymore, but this thing never got the software update. So we're constantly looking for threats in our environment, except our threats are very different today. Most golfers, when you hit a bad shot, you probably get charged up. You throw a club, you slam a club, you get mad, you punch a steering wheel. I might have done that a few times. Alright, wicked smart tip. If you punch this, do this, get a little ice on that hand. Whoopsie. Whatever it is, you get mad because, let's get real, nobody likes hitting bad shots. But when you're doing that time and time again, you're actually remembering those bad shots way more than the good ones. Conversely, think about this. How many times do you hit a perfect drive? You just get up to the tee, you love the hole, you love the shot, absolutely rope one. That thing isn't 1 second off the club and you're not even watching it, you're just there to pick up the tee. Look, I get it. That's like Tiger Woods' move. You want to just twirl that club, pick up the tee, and go on. But when you do that, you're kind of forgetting to remind yourself, wow, that was really good. That was a really good shot. You need to remind yourself of those good shots 10 times as much as those bad ones. And the mind is programmed to remember the bad ones, not so much the good ones. But again, we're not in a survival type of environment. You can thrive on the golf course, but you need to program your mind with the right memories. So here's an easy way to do this. After every tournament round, I make sure and log some notes, kind of thinking about what my swing was feeling like, what my misses were, and I track my stats using something called Decades Golf. But I also write down at least 3 shots that I want to remember. Maybe it was a clutch drive, or I hit an iron close on a really hard par 3, or I chipped in, or made a bunch of putts. Whatever it was, I want to remember those good ones. I do not document the bad ones. I do not need to remember those. I do not want to recall those. But I like having those positive ones so you have kind of a positive memory bank stored up to where if you are going through a little bit of a slump sometimes, you can be like, hey, you know, I have played this hole well, or I have played this course well, and you can go back and look at those old notes and remember that you have some success at that course or just a good player. You need those good memories to feed and create more confidence on the course. Tip number 4 from Dr. Bob here. If you're going through a little bit of a golf slump, which we all have at times, it's important to get out of it as fast as possible. The best remedies for a golfing slump I've found are putting things back in perspective, dwelling on the positive, looking for something good to happen, and rededication to the short game. So we talked about in the last point how important it is to focus on the positive. Remember, if you're going through a slump, you have played well before, even if it feels like it's been a week or a month or a year even. It's easy to forget about what it is. First of all, make sure to have an optimistic outlook. This is something you control. This is your mind. You need to do that through hypnosis, meditation, affirmations, journaling, whatever you want to do. Focus on the positives and remember that you are a good player and remind yourself that. The second part of that is to just work on your short game. When your short game is dialed in, everything can get fixed. I love it when I go out there and I kind of slap it around and I'm hitting driver all over the place or thinning irons, but I'm making pars and birdies thanks to a good, solid short game. So when things are going bad and you're in that slump, Quit going to the range, get out of your head, and get to the short game area. Work on the basic chip shots, the bump and runs, your bunker shots, high lofted wedges, and specifically your short putts. Now, one of the quotes I have in Wicked Smart Golf was a quote from Dr. Bob in another one of his books, Putting Out of Your Mind. So here's the quote from Dr. Bob. Practicing from close range assures them talking about tour players, of making most putts they try. There's nothing better for your confidence and your putting than seeing balls go in the hole time after time. He later goes on to say, if you're solid from say 2 to 5 feet, it makes it so much easier to make your longer putts. You can stroke them more confidently when you know that if by some misfortune you do miss, you're a cinch on the next one. So if things are going poorly and you feel like, oh my God, I'm never gonna play good golf again, get to the short game area. Focus on the easy ones, focus on your putting, getting the ball up and down, because not only will it help your score, obviously, it's gonna help with confidence and momentum. Now, confidence and momentum are two of the most important things you need to play really good golf, especially in tournaments. Think about when the guys on tour, when they're out there fist pumping a 6 or 8 footer for par, they know that not only did they save a stroke, they kept the momentum. They avoided that square on the scorecard and they kept the momentum going. So again, if you're in a slump, work on the short game. The final tip from Dr. Bob here is to accept bad shots. Now, I know that's going to be hard for a lot of us to hear, but as you know, you're always going to hit bad shots on the golf course. Even on your best day, you're still probably going to hit 1 or 2 shots that it's just like, where did that come from? Who is that guy? But it's part of golf. Look, I'm a scratch golfer and bad shots happen all the time. But the last part of a good pre-shot routine is accepting the shot. Good, bad, or just kind of a meh shot. Whatever, you have to accept the shot. Otherwise, you're going to be dwelling on it and getting frustrated on that next shot, and you're not going to have 100% focus on it. Just remember, the best players in the world hit really bad shots too. Look, these things happen, so just remember bad shots are part of golf. If they weren't, no one would play because it would be way too easy of a sport. So just remember, the final part of a good pre-shot routine is accepting it and moving on. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this book review from Golf is a Game of Confidence. If you'd like to read it or listen to the audiobook, the links are down below in the description. Wicked Smart Golf, my book that shows 111 ways to play better golf without changing your swing, is also live on Amazon. Hopefully you have 5 tips to now play golf with a lot more confidence. Remember, Dr. Bob focuses on staying present, working on your short game, and trusting the process. I'm confident when you do these things, you will play your best golf too. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I hope you have an epic day on the links.